Things Eagles edition this weekend with Chris and Dave. I guess we're going to talk about today the game day decisions of coaching staff and where we are this weekend as far as seating goes. So I guess I'll just jump right into it. I think
Mhm.
today or this past week we were making decisions on based on health and not what's in my opinion is best interest of where we are in the playing statutes as far as who we would play in the first round. Um, the status right now is we are seated third, and team is going to opt to not start their starters this weekend. They're looking just to go with the backups, so we can go into the playoffs full healthy. And I'm not sure I agree with that. I don't know what's your opinion on that, Chris, and then I'll give you mine.
Well, being it's the last game of the season before we go into playoffs, I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea that we rest the starters, because you don't want any sort of catastrophic injury happening. And then you have one of your starters out, and then you risk your chances in the playoffs. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea. But with that being said, we are going up against the Commanders, I believe, and they are not an easy team. They're one of the teams that I get a little more stressed over than other teams in our schedule. I, you know, it's kind of a toss up. It's anybody's game, really. I would say maybe put in the second string, third string, whatever. Um, but really, like, it's anybody's game. What do? Do you put the starters in the beginning of the game and then pull them, depending on how they're doing, depending on what Washington's doing? I mean, it's kind of a toss up. I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking it more or less going with starters maybe in the first half to
Hmm.
see because both games. So the way they made it sound was that the Eagles and the Bears were going to be playing side by side.
Hmm.
Um, I think that's changed. I have to look, but I think that the schedule may have changed since then. But uh, I would, if they're playing side by side, which would be in the 4 o'clock hour.
Hmm.
As a coaching staff, I would be having somebody at the TV going, "Where we at? Where are the
Hmm.
Bears? Are they way ahead? As a game, are they beating the Lions out of their minds?" And then I could just pull my guys and say, "Look, we're not going to get the third seed. Let's just let it be."
Hmm.
But in this situation, now we are. I do agree with you. We are playing the Commanders. The Commanders are one of the last place teams, but as a divisional rival, they always play us tough. We play any divisional team
Yeah.
tough. They play us up to either we play down to them or they play up to us, and
Hmm.
it's usually 90% of the time it's a split. I consider pretty much every series between Dallas to Giants and the Commanders a split. We usually win
Hmm.
there and lose home or vice versa. I don't necessarily think I agree with sitting the starters because I think as a team we have not been very productive and we have never had some smooth running offense all year long. I think they're getting everybody back healthy this weekend.
Hmm.
I think that what they need to do is go maybe one half to get up on the Commanders, but then the Commanders are sour from the last time we played them. Do we risk somebody taking a cheap shot at one of our key players and knocking them out for the season? So
Right.
I
Right.
get the balance of both sides of it. I get it. For me as a personal interest, I think we play the starters, get up on them 3 touchdowns to where we can put the backups in and be comfortable with that and then move
Right.
forward. And then
Right.
whatever happens, happens. But I think we need that second seed more than we need the third seed, only because of the two teams that we have a chance of facing. If we stay at three, we face the Rams and the 49ers. Both teams, their offenses are very good.
Yeah.
Their defenses are very bad. Um,
Hmm.
so even though I think we could beat both of them, I think to get our offense running smoothly because we haven't had any consistency for the season, I think what we need to do is to pull and keep the starters in to get some continuity and we can get the offense flourishing a little bit going into the playoffs. But that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I think we need to. I think we need to reevaluate the play calling. We definitely need to do something different. we need to change it up. But again, like you're saying, we should get the starters out there, get a pretty secure lead that we are comfortable with, and then start putting the second string, the third string in, because you just never know. With Commanders, it's always a guessing game. There are teams out there that we're going to play that we know it's going to be a blowout. There's teams out there we're going to play, we know we're going to get our asses handed to us. The Commanders, you just never know. They are a consistent guessing game. Sometimes they're really great. Sometimes we're better. It just depends. So I think there needs to be a reevaluation in play calling. I think you're right. We should, at least for the first quarter, play the starters, evaluate how they're doing, leave them in for the second quarter if necessary, and then hopefully we'll get a decent lead, and then we can throw in the other strings and rest our starters and make them be okay for the playoffs, so we can put them in during the playoffs. But yeah, so and again, I liked your idea. That is a good thought about someone watching to see what the Bears are doing, because we are playing side by side at the same time bracket. And right now the Bears have the second seed, we're in the third. It could be anybody's guess as to what is going to happen. So when you get into the playoffs, it's like a whole new season. So, the Eagles, their chances in the playoffs, it's all going to depend on who we're going to play. It really depends on how the rest of what's going to happen with the rest of the
kind of where the fallout's going to be.
Right, because you just don't know. So, I don't really like to predict how they're going to do in the playoffs until I know exactly who's in the playoffs, who's playing who, what's happening. I don't like to make any of those predictions, but I think they're okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know that I think their chances are really good. I don't think there was any coy playing going on with the team. I think where we're at is, it's been in the past. Even when we played last year and we got to the Super Bowl, we had a constant flow of a run game last year. This year, not so much because of the injuries on the front line. But I do think that the offensive coordinator is not that good, and I think he doesn't want us to turn the ball over. So they make a more conventional play versus stretching the field more and putting Jalen in a situation where he can possibly turn the ball over. And I think Jalen's really good at not turning the ball over. So I think we're in a game management mode versus let's get out there and put the foot on the enemy's neck and not let them up and bury them. Right. So when we physically and mentally bury them, they don't have a chance to come back. And I think in the past, not counting these last couple games, but prior to our little losing streak, that we're right at our losing streak that we had, I think that's what you were saying. We're seeing game managing, being up by 3 touchdowns, and then just going into like a conventional move where we just sit there and try to hold on to the lead. You can't play like that in the playoffs. I don't know that they would. I can only refer back to last year. They played this type of football last year in a few of the games, and then there was questions and people complaining and players complaining, I'm not getting the ball, I'm not getting this, I'm not doing that. And I think taking that, and when we got into the playoffs, you saw a whole different football team. You saw Jalen stretch the field. You saw the quarterback play a lot better. And his comment was, this is what happens when they untie me. So hearing him say that tells me that I think, in my opinion, I think Nick Sirianni has his hands in the offense more than we know. I think he doesn't allow his offensive coordinator to live because of the fact that there's trust issues. I think he doesn't trust a new offensive coordinator enough until he sees proof. And I think with Kevin Patullo, we haven't seen that yet, because I think he gives him a little bit of string. I think he lets him do his thing. But in the same breath, he said, I don't think the trust is there with him. I think he just says, look, I'm going to let you go. And if I feel like we're not moving fluently enough, I'm going to get involved, which is fine. As a head coach, he should. But when he first came here, he already proved that he is not that good of an offensive coordinator himself. Like, he doesn't have play call ability, and that comes with experience and experience at the level of the NFL, maybe as an understudy to the offensive coordinator that's already in place. Like, you take somebody like a Kellen Moore, who's a guy who did play calling for 3 teams, who now is a head coach and does the play calling as a head coach because of the fact that he was an understudy to an offensive coordinator for a few years.
Mhm.
That ultimately builds confidence because if you're working under somebody, they're going to allow you to get involved. And here,
Right.
I'm going to give you this. I want you to do these, maybe these 4 downs. I want you to call plays for these 4 downs, and then I'm going to take over. Or I'm going to hold your hand. I'm going to be next to you. So if I don't like what you're doing, I'm going to tell you and say, hey, listen, maybe you want to try this.
Right.
But that comes with experience. And I don't think that the guy that we're hiring quarterback coaches like that don't
Mhm.
have any play call experience. So I
Right.
think that hurts us.
Mhm.
And I think it also Jalen sees that, and I think it pisses him off a little bit because he's like, I can do so much more, but I can't I can't make plays on what you're giving me.
Right. Right.
And I think a lot of it's
Because the coaching staff is holding the reins, and he wants to do he Jalen Hurts, I think, wants to get out there and do what he knows that he's capable of doing, but the coaching staff is holding the reins and not allowing him to do that. And maybe that is a strategy right now. I don't know. We're not going to know until the playoffs start
I
because
can only say from the looks of it, from what we see, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is, in my opinion, he's already got a Super Bowl. He's been to 2 Super Bowls,
Mhm.
and I'm sick of hearing that. I'm a Jalen fan. I defend him at all costs. Even when he plays bad, I'll say he plays bad, but I'll say there are reasons behind it. Because when you sit there and say this guy's not an elite quarterback, but yet he has a Super Bowl win, he's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's outplayed a Patrick Mahomes 4 times.
Mhm.
He's beat Josh Allen twice. He's
Mhm.
beat Matt Stafford 3 times. He's beat all these playoff quarterbacks, and he's undefeated against them. So I don't understand how people could be so highly critical of this guy. All he does is win. And it doesn't matter that his numbers aren't, he's not the typical Aaron Rodgers type quarterback where he's going to have 300 yards a game, 4 touchdowns, maybe 2 passing, 2 rushing like a Josh Allen. But if we look at these other players, other than Patrick Mahomes, these other quarterbacks in the league, Josh Allen hasn't won a Super Bowl yet. And
Mhm.
he's always an MVP candidate. But what good is the MVP candidate if you're not winning the Super Bowl? Because
Right.
it's ultimately about what the fans think. It's
Mhm.
not about what my numbers are. Yeah, you're getting paid. But as a fan, do you want to constantly sit there and see your quarterback win an MVP and not have a Super Bowl to show for it? Because that means you didn't make.
Right.
That means either one, you didn't make the playoffs, or two,
Right.
you made the playoffs and you had an early exit.
I mean, how many times can you say, "Oh, there's always next year," because that seemed to be the constant thing about, about us not going to the Super Bowl. Now I do think that, when it comes to AJ Brown complaining that he wasn't getting the ball enough, I sort of agree with that. He was voicing his frustration, but again, I think all of that goes back to the coaching staff and how the plays are being called and the plays that are being designed for them to try and win these games. AJ Brown, I'm a big AJ Brown fan. I love him, but I think he had every single right to voice his frustration as to why he's not getting the ball. I feel like Hurts is constantly throwing to Devontae Smith, and I just don't think the numbers are producing the way that they should.
I agree with that. I think our run game is struggling, so it's affecting the pass.
Hmm.
And I think with all the injuries we had on the front line, it just makes it harder for Jalen to get the ball to AJ Brown because he's
Right.
being pressured as fast as he's being pressured. He's not given enough
Hmm.
time. But
Yeah, it's anybody's guess, really. So I think, at the end of the day, I think the Eagles have a really good chance in the playoffs. I think that, um, you know, I think that they're going to come out. Hopefully, they will win this game. Hopefully, we get into the number 2 seed as opposed to being number 3. And then I think hopefully they will lock in exactly like they did last year. They were all business last year going into the playoffs. Other teams are celebrating in the end zone during touchdowns. The Eagles were back to business right away. So hopefully they will get locked in and they will take it as far as they can go. And hopefully we win another Super Bowl.
yeah, it would be nice. I think tomorrow's a telltale sign of what's going to be futuristic as far as the playoffs go. And I think that we need to play our starters. I think our score with backups should be handily put in place quickly. And I
Hmm.
think if you put that pressure on the Bears to play their full game, they have to play their full game to keep that second seed. If they lose that game, that pushes
Hmm.
us up. And I think if we put up 21 points on the Commanders early, I think
Yeah.
we can be successful and push where we need to be.
Okay, well, that's our thoughts on the Eagles and game day tomorrow. So if you guys have any thoughts, comments, anything you want to say, argumentative, anything, trash talk, please drop us a line. Let us know what you think. We want to hear from you.
I want to hear from all the Jalen haters. I want you guys to come at me with, other than the fact that his numbers are not what you want them to be an elite quarterback. I want you to give me some type of argument why he's not elite, and why do you think that, just because his numbers aren't up there, Super Bowl wins don't mean nothing.
And from Three Friends and All the Things, this is Chris and Dave. Keep it real, stay safe, remember who you are, and go Birds.
Go Birds.